All right, welcome everybody listening from all around the world, all around this beautiful blue-green planet we call Gaia. Welcome everybody listening here in Australia, this beautiful country of ours. Welcome to the Mystic Drop, where each week we try and journey down the road less traveled by, as the great Robert Frost once poetically put. I'm your host, Roberto Roya. Joining me today is Julie Kay. Julie describes herself as a white light crusader and a spiritual profiler. She has worked professionally for over 2 decades as a spiritual profiler, psychic, a medium, and a healer, and has been teaching spiritual development since 1997. She is quoted as saying, "It is my belief that everyone needs to feel loved, connected, and worthy. If they did it, it would change the world into being more loving and peaceful place where everyone could thrive." Welcome, Julie, to the show. Thank you so much for being with us.
Oh, thank you, Robbie. And I'm really excited to be here. Thank you for having me on.
Oh, it's such a pleasure. Now, you're a first-time guest, so we've got a first-time guest incantation that we like to share with people, and it goes like this. We are two cosmic spiritual beings sitting around the campfire. 2 drops of light from the Great Spirit. Truth is our path, and wisdom is our teacher. We start with a salute, and now let our magic flow.
Thank you. Amen.
You're very, very welcome. So I really want to get into your psychic and mediumship. Along your journey so far, what does spirituality mean to you?
Spirituality means to me that inner part of us that we have often hide, but is within us, like our eternal journey, our eternal being. And spirituality to me means connecting to that and bringing it out and allowing that part of us to help us feel whole. Because if we are only coming from our physical side of self with no connection to our intuition, our spirituality, a bigger cause, ourselves, our self-love, then that's where people get lost. They get too caught up in the ego side of the world, and they get too lost in their limiting beliefs and their emotional habits and all of that. And by bringing spirituality into it and bringing that connection to self into it, we can become a whole being, and we can start to be who we came here to be.
Yeah, exactly. I remember when I was in school, one of the teachers at the time, I didn't know he was very spiritual. I learned that later through my travels and everything, and my research along the way, and delving into who I am. But he walked into the classroom, and some of the naughty kids, they were playing up, and he looked at one of them and he said, "Who are you?" And obviously the kid said his name, and he said, no, I don't want to know your name. Who are you? And he kept going like this, question after, he just kept repeating the question. And at the time, I didn't understand what he was talking about. But I think it's an important question that we don't really ask ourselves, who we really are. So I'll ask you, who are you?
Who am I? I am a reflection of goodness, of love, and of kindness. And that's what I feel I bring to the world, and that's what I want to share and resonate with. So who am I? I feel I'm just like everyone else. I'm a spiritual being living a physical body, living in a physical body in a physical world, and I am love.
Such a beautiful answer.
I don't know how to start.
That's exactly the answer I was looking for. That's beautiful. Thank you for sharing that. And I think, imagine if we had in schools, if we taught that sort of spiritual philosophy, how different this world would be.
Oh, absolutely. I totally agree with that. And, you know, I feel we've lost a lot of that. A lot of my clients, I mean, I'm not practicing psychic mediumship anymore because I'm more gone into the teaching side of things.
Yep.
But, you know, a lot of my clients were teachers and they just feel so lost in a system that doesn't support, you know, the creativeness of children. You know, the creativeness is our connection to our spirit.
Yeah.
And it's all gone very intellectual.
Yeah.
And that the intellectual side and the intuitive creative side are completely different. But they're the two sides of self.
Exactly.
And so when we are not encouraging children to be creative and allowing them to learn through creativity and putting them all in one box, we're actually really not helping those children at all. Where, to me, the curriculum in school is very, you learn like this and everyone learns like this. And that's not how it is. I mean, we have, I think it's 44 different profiles of different ways that we can be. So, you know, you've got really, really creative children that don't learn there sitting there looking at a blackboard and being told what to do. They learn by doing. They learn by experience and by being creative.
Exactly.
So I think we're only helping one side at the moment a lot.
100%. I remember just over 10 years ago, I'm part Italian, and I went back to Italy and I got a job teaching English, and I got to travel all around the schools teaching English, and but English through theatre. So I was getting the kids out of the chairs, you know, away from the desks and in a circle, and, you know, having that fun and finding their own creativity again. And I remember when we'd first get in there and tell the kids to move the chairs and tables away from the center of the room, some of the kids grabbed the table and moved themselves with the table against the wall, thinking that they were attached, they had to stay attached to the table. So
yeah,
it's crazy.
Yeah. And I just want to, you know, that creative side actually opens up our channel.
Yeah.
So by being creative, these kids being creative, that disconnects them from that thought and puts them into the subconscious mind. So really, like, that's where we're going to get the best out of them.
Yeah, exactly.
That's how they're going to be who they came here to be.
What lessons from spirit have you learned along the way through your journey?
To always follow my gut instinct, no matter what. And there's been plenty of times where that has gone against what the people who care about me, who have cared about me, have thought should be my journey. Yeah. And, you know, thankfully, I've been very brave in always following my spirit. And that's kind of got me to take a few really big leaps of faith in my life. Yep. And I've never looked back. Do you know what I mean? Like, I've trusted it against the advice of everyone else around me. This knows.
So you've gone with your heart instead of the head.
I've gone with my heart, and I've gone against what everyone believed would be the outcome, and trying to, you know, look after me and think that they know what's best for me, only because they love me. But at the end of the day, those leaps of faith have actually put me where I am, and this has never let me down. Yeah. So always trust your gut, always trust your heart. That's the biggest thing I've ever learned.
That's one thing as humans we tend to shut that off, and I think it stems back to, again, childhood and what they teach us in school, to use our heads, you know, and not necessarily listen to our hearts. And we need to get back to that old wisdom of listening to the heart. Are there
what I tell my clients, so what I tell my clients is we've got two minds. Yeah. Okay. And we know that because we argue with ourselves. So who are we arguing with? So we've got a subconscious mind and we've got our intellectual mind. And the intellectual mind is very much centered in the physical side of self, which is for this lifetime only.
Yeah.
And that intellectual mind is like the thoughts that come from that are the thoughts that we think and we create. So, and we're creating them through only what we know. So your intellectual mind basically can't know anything other than what you've learnt up until today. So unless you've learnt it through experience or you've learnt it through education, your intellectual mind can't know it. And the intellectual mind comes from you know what you've learnt through childhood, what you've learnt through life experience, what you've learnt through education, and then also what you've learnt through cultural and ancestral programming. So the thing about the intellectual mind is that there's no intuitive value there. It can only perceive the future through what it already knows, or try and perceive the future through what it already knows. So when we're trying to think of something and we're trying to navigate a problem or an issue in life, that creates very limiting thinking, because we're going to usually revert back to what's happened before or what's happened to everyone else to try and perceive what an outcome's going to be. Or we can go and learn, we can go and study something, or we can get advice or whatever. But that's why a lot of people, when they're trying to move into the future and create a new direction, they'll often get in their head and their mind just goes mad and it goes round and round in circles, and it never gives them an outcome. That's because the intellectual side is not intuitive. It's the other side of us, our spirit self, our subconscious mind, that is intuitive. And if we can quieten that down, then that side can get a word in edgeways, and you can feel your direction, you can feel and what's right for you. And here's the paradox. The intellectual mind can't see the future, but it always wants to know it. And the subconscious mind doesn't need to know the future because it already does. So there's a real paradox there. So my advice to everyone is get out of here and get into here and get into your intuition.
Yeah, exactly. I've done a couple of rounds of Nowism with Kat Dawes. She's a Australian spiritual practitioner who's come up with it's called the game of Nowism, and she uses the present moment to focus your attention and your spirit in that, and raise your vibration as well. So going back to the laws of attraction and all that sort of stuff. Of whatever you want, feel it like you've already got it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because the universe doesn't know the difference.
That's exactly right.
Instead of always wanting it and chasing it.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like and it's why I actually gave up psychic medium readings.
Yeah,
was because I didn't feel I was helping people connect to that part of themselves, which is so important now.
Yeah,
in where 100%. We are in the world. So I thought that was one of the leaps of faith that I actually took, because that was 70% of my income at the time.
Yeah.
And it was like right at the beginning of COVID, when COVID hit and everything had just gone into lockdown. And I've just purchased this amazing beach house on the beach, and this guidance comes in and says, you've got to give up the readings. I'm like, no way, like, how's that going to happen? And it took a while. There was a lead up. It wasn't right at that time, but it was at that time that I got the final calling to go, no, I really need to do this, and I have to trust. Even though I can't see how that's going to work out. I have no idea how that's going to work out. I have to trust this. And I did, and I never looked back. And I really have felt that I had to stop giving people the answers and help them find the answers within themselves.
Yeah.
And stop them thinking that they have to know the future, because the future's already in here.
Exactly. We're just playing it out.
Yeah. Yeah.
Exactly.
And we can create that. Yeah, as you said. Exactly,
that's right. And there's certain points where we come to those crossroads, and again, we got to use this more to make that right decision and go down the right path. What an amazing shift that you've just gone through then.
Absolutely. Yeah, it was a bit, like I said, terrifying.
Yeah.
And, it was that, I mean, I've had a few things like that happen in my life where it's quite a big decision to make. And you don't always make them like right at that time. And there was definitely a lead up. But what helps you make that decision is you feel like the soul's been sucked out of you. So to show up and continually do the same thing over and over again, you then find that you can't find that balance, that peace. And even though I 100% would always show up for my clients, and that was never, it was afterwards. It was like, oh, God, do I have to go and do this again? It's like, this is not what I know I should be doing. There's that voice in the back of your head that nags you, and the feelings that then come from it feels like you've got to force yourself to do something.
Yeah.
That's your spirit talking.
Yeah.
That's your spirit saying that's not your direction anymore.
Yeah. And good on you for listening to that and taking action, because a lot of people, it takes courage. It takes courage to do it. So I congratulate you on that.
It does take courage, and it takes being brave, and it takes trust.
Yeah.
It takes trust
Yeah.
in something bigger than yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, talking about shifts, this leading up to my next question. A lot of people view spiritual people and mystics view this world as a spiritual school that we're going through, and we're evolving not only humanity but our collective spirit as well. What in your journey and in your belief, what is it going to take for humanity to lift up to that next level, the fifth dimension?
Yeah, I totally agree with that. I feel like when you even look at spiritual profiling, you can see that, that we've got lessons here to learn. Yep. Individually, which then help in the collective as well. So, a lot of spiritual people have seen this coming. You may not have put it in the format that it has come in, but we've been talking about this since 2012. And there has to be a shift. There has to be a change in humanity, because we were heading down the wrong road.
Yeah.
And that road was that, we were losing more and more freedom for the egoic sort of stuff, which is power, control, money. We're losing our connection, our unity, and it was becoming a very selfish society, so to speak. So, over the years, and I feel like there was a huge shift around 2012. People thought that because the Mayan calendar ended back then, the world was going to end.
Yeah.
But it was actually, I feel, the beginning of the world ending as we know it. Yeah. And being someone that sort of worked in, spiritual stuff and connecting to energy and all of that, we really saw like the shift start to change. And you could see that shift happening on both the personal level, but also the collective level. So you had more and more people wanting to get into the spiritual realms. And in fact, the spiritual development and personal development and health industries was one of the fastest growing industries over the last 5 years. Yep. So people were starting to awaken and feel like, oh, there's got to be more to life than this. And that then helps the collective awaken as well. And the way I like to describe it, to know that we are on the right path, because there's a lot of people in fear at the moment, because this is scary stuff, what's happening in the world at the moment. But it has to happen. On one level, it has to happen. Things can't keep going the way that they were going. So we are going to end up with a new world out of this. But it's very important that people continue to create the right world and not, give energy to the wrong side, to the wrong energy. Yeah. So one of the things that I like to tell people to give them hope is our perception of time. The perception of time, if you look at it over the last few years, do you feel like that time seems to be going faster.
100%.
Yep,
100%.
100%.
Yeah.
Okay, and if you ask anyone, most people feel the same way. So I like to describe it like this. Energy that has risen or evolved vibrates at a high frequency. Okay, if something vibrates at a high frequency, it's vibrating faster, isn't it?
Yep.
Yep. Do you agree?
100%.
Yep.
Yep.
So what happens when we're having a really good time? You know, if you go out and you have a really good time,
Oh, yeah, it just flies by.
Time flies,
Yep.
exactly. Whereas if we're not in a good space and, you know, life seems to just drag and time seems to drag. Well, if you look at it in the collective, everyone feels that time is going faster. So what that says to me is we're actually evolving, not going backwards. Otherwise, we would be perceiving that the frequency is raising rather than lowering, because otherwise we'd be perceiving time as going slower, not faster. So I like to tell people that, just to give them a little bit of hope that, yeah, these are not good times. And we've got some not good times probably to come. But this is the awakening. This is the big awakening where people actually awaken to who they are, why they're here, and we start to come together in unity.
So I've got to ask you through your meditations, what do you see the world looking like once we get past that storm?
Well, this is the age of, like, what we're heading into is the age of Aquarius, which is all about the spiritual revolution. And the spiritual revolution is all about that sovereignty of us as individuals, but also collective.
Yeah.
So the sovereignty of kindness, of, you know, caring about each other, helping each other. It's not dog eat dog. It's not I'm better than you. It's about, you know, creating a world that supports everyone to thrive. And the world that we've got at the moment doesn't do that. But the world, we can call it the new world. That's what I like to call it, the new world.
Yeah.
And it's not going to be an instant thing. It's, you know, it's going to take a while to get there. Yeah. We're not going to instantly get there. But I feel that I feel so many people that are on the earth plane at this time chose to be here at this time.
Yeah.
And chose to help in this awakening process.
Yeah, an uplifting of energy.
Mm-hmm. And unfortunately, there's a lot in the 3D that don't want things to change. So that's
why I believe that they want. That's why they're trying to hold on so desperately to hold on to that old world, and not wanting to move into that new world.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's where, you know, when you look at the 3D, when people are still kind of like in the old ways, they haven't really connected to their spirit side yet. So they're still in the very, the old ways of doing things through the mind and the ego. Yeah. They're very vulnerable to fear. And they're very vulnerable to being programmed. So when you sort of start to step into your spirit, you'll know what's right for you. I mean, that what's right for you may not be what's right for everyone else, but you will know what's right for you with beyond a doubt. And then therefore you will follow that. And then when you're sitting in your peace and in your calmness and in your kindness and in your love, you attract those around you to support you in that. They're the people that you end up attracting in your life. That's the vibration that you're putting out there. That's the level of frequency that you're adding to the world. So you're not only doing that on an individual level, you're actually doing it on the collective level. And that's where the real change happens. So, you know, we've got people that we've all got a job to do, I feel, because we've all got a destiny, and we've all got different gifts. But if somebody is really lost in what they can do and how they can help in creating this shift, the thing that they can do is heal themselves and add love and kindness to the world, because that raises the mass consciousness. And just that little one thing alone can make such a huge difference in the world. If you look at the frequency of, of the lower frequencies of guilt and shame and hate, and then you look at the high frequencies of enlightenment and love, they majorly dissolve those lower vibrations. So the more people that connect to their spirit, their heart, their kindness, their unity, their togetherness, that's what changes the world.
Yep.
More than anything.
And what I've realized, especially in the last few years, is that pre say COVID, people have that are having this sort of conversation. They were feeling, why am I the only one that knows this? Why am I the only one that feels like this? But what I've noticed recently is that a lot more people are waking up and going, actually, that guy, what he said, that's interesting. He's waking up, and that person's waking up. And it's like this domino effect that's happening at the moment, where it's like coming up from the roots all around the world. And the dark forces don't know how to deal with it, so they're panicking.
Absolutely. Like there is definitely two different worlds happening here, or two different energies happening here. Yeah. And I don't feel they can win though. If you look at the perception of time, we've already won, and it's just now it's just playing getting out into that. Yeah, absolutely.
It's the awkward shift. The awkward shift.
Yes.
Yeah. Like when a baby is growing, it's uncomfortable. Things are moving around. It's makes them really uncomfortable and stuff. But then they grow into it and they find themselves, and it's another journey, but a collective journey, I believe.
Yeah, and the nature of who we are is like, if we allow it to happen, and that's the nature of the collective as well. It's like an acorn doesn't have to think about how it becomes a tree.
Yeah, that's right.
It just, by connecting to its true nature, it will just become that. And that's what I feel the destiny for our world is at the moment. It will just become that. It's going to be really uncomfortable though. We're going to see the dark is not going to sit down and just take it.
No way.
It's like they're going to fight back.
We'll keep shining our light and over dark their shadows.
Absolutely.
Like we're doing right now. Going back to what you're saying, energies coming in, I believe, and a lot of mystics talk about this as well, that there are a lot of angelic beings, I think, that are coming in, non-human intelligences that are from those high vibrations coming in. Through your journey, have you heard any stories personally or through other people about these sort of things, these mystical things?
Absolutely. And I can only go by what I've seen. Yep. And but I've heard a lot as well. And you've only got to look at these little children that are coming through, how sensitive they are.
Yeah.
Now, if you look at intuitive people, part of that sensitivity is our ability to be intuitive. So these little souls that are coming in have a lot of gifts to bring to the earth plane as well. And I feel we need to be nurturing that and keeping them, they're very sensitive to everything. And I'm not talking just sensitive as in intuitive. They're sensitive to the environment. They're sensitive to food, that's not natural. We've got so many more allergies, so many more, mental health issues, all of that. That's a sign of extra sensitivity. And so I feel we really need to be teaching these children the balance and allowing them to evolve into who they want to be, and encourage that rather than, like I said, with the school system. But yes, I absolutely, I've got friends that, believe they're star seeds. I believe I'm a star seed. I don't know whether you've ever gone into looking at that. Yeah, but I definitely believe I'm a star seed. And, I've always had an affinity with cats.
Yeah.
So I think I'm a Lyran if I look at everything that aligns to.
Yeah.
I've got a friend that I've never seen an alien. I can't say that I ever have. Do I believe they exist? Absolutely. But I've never ever had the experience of. But I've got a friend that who, when she has photos taken, everyone has orbs around. You know, when we take photos, there's orbs. Well, she has oblong ones, and she says that it's because she's seen her and her sister were on the roof one day and they had an encounter with an alien, and she believes that that's where she's from. Wow. And it's bizarre. She shows me these photos with these oblong orbs in them everywhere, and I've never seen anything other than a round orb before. But it kind of really made sense, and she feels that she's from and she has been visited by whoever, wherever she came from. Yeah. Which we'd call an alien.
Yeah. Well, I've always had a deep connection to the Pleiades. I've always felt that I look at that star cluster and I go, that's home. I've got that connection. I can't really describe it, but it's something that I feel inside very deeply.
And isn't it amazing that people that are starseeds generally have an affinity with the stars?
Yes.
They love looking at the stars. Yeah. Same. Love looking at the stars. Yeah. And
that goes into like the native cultures, especially Native Americans. I've always had a connection there. I believe it in my soul that I had a life as a part of the Native American culture and their connection to the stars, because there's a lot of tribes that tell stories of how their people came down from there. So fascinating.
Yeah, it is fascinating. And, you know, I've more than once been called a bit of a nutcase all my life, because I've been doing this, like I said, for over 30 years. And back then you really did have to hide in the closet with all this stuff. So I've had my fair share of being called a nutcase in my lifetime. But I'm sorry, when you start seeing things line up and you get messages and then something confirms that message, or someone on the other side of the world has exactly the same experience, you finally realize that there's definitely something in this.
There's something to it.
Yeah.
So for people that are afraid of death, and they don't want to talk about it, they don't want to think about it, through your mediumship and psychic work, what words of calm and wisdom can you share with these people of what happens to us as humans and then transition home?
Yeah, look, I have absolutely no fear of death at all, because I've seen spirit on the other side. They're happy. This is just a short blimp in our bigger picture. So there really is nothing to fear. We're just transitioning from the physical world to the spiritual world, and we'll come back to the physical world, or we may end up in another dimension. Who knows? We get to choose that. I believe we chose to come here at this time. And when you look at people's profiles, you'll see their emotional experiences and everything align totally with their profile. And then their gifts as well align totally with their profile. So, we definitely chose to learn something here, and we definitely chose to be here for a reason. But part of that reason, I feel, is to help the Earth plane at this time. But also, it is just such a small journey, like a blimp in our journey. And we can still visit. People would freak out if they knew how many spirit were around them, coming in and out, crossing the veil all the time. Like, if you could see how many spirit were actually around people, then people would freak out. They're there, and they can help in our journey as well. And by being a medium, what that gave me was, for a lot of people that I did readings for, was that confirmation that their loved one hasn't left them. They're still there, they're still helping. And, you know, I always, in my mediumship, I would always find things that there's no way I would know, which I feel a lot of mediums do. So that it gives them that absolute clarification that spirit does exist, that this is just a very small part of our journey. And so death is not to be feared. It's just a transition.
Beautiful message. Thank you for sharing that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, no, and I always say, you know, like when we're born, I think it's a sad thing for the other side because we've left home, you know.
Yeah.
But then when we go back, it's a celebration. It's a sadness here on earth, but it's a celebration on the other side. So it's funny how the yin and the yang work as well on both sides.
Absolutely. Yeah, totally. Yeah.
If you had the opportunity to sit down with a nice bottle of red, with say three to five characters throughout history, who would you pick?
Who would I pick? Well, that's an interesting question. Definitely Wayne Dyer. I love him. I think he's amazing. I don't know. I've always had an affinity with Lady Diana. Don't know why.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, don't know where that comes from, but always had an affinity with her. But I love Wayne Dyer.
She was definitely a light worker, though.
Oh, definitely a light worker. No doubt about that. And I'm trying to think of his name. His name's escaping me now. Oh, it'll come to me. But he was very much used to teach the law of attraction in the real early days.
Neil Donald Walsh?
No. He used to teach it through the Bible. What oh God, what's his name?
Bob Proctor?
No. What is his name? I have to.
Was he on The Secret?
No, this was before.
Before that.
Before The Secret. Yeah.
Yeah.
Why can't I think of his name? He's someone that I love to listen to a lot of his old trainings. Oh, look, I might have to post it in the comments. I'm having a brain fade at the moment.
That's okay. We can come back to it.
Yeah. I might have to post it in the comments, but definitely, he definitely taught the law of attraction, and I still feel he teaches it better than anyone.
Wow.
When you really look at the how to imagine and put yourself into that reality, but also, you know, viewing ourselves as the creator, as God. I would love to sit down.
I can't wait to find out the name so I can
study this. Sorry, guy. I'm just like, oh God, I'm having this real brain fade.
That's all right.
We'll find it out, and I'll get you to put it in the comments.
Yeah, not a problem.
It'll come to me.
Yeah, no, I can't wait to hear who it is. What kind of practices would you advise people to uptake to uplift the energies in themselves and collectively as well?
The practice of self is so important, and that involves us learning to ascend this overthinking, over analytical mind. So anything that brings that back to the now, as you was talking about. So whether that's meditation, whether that's doing something creative, whether that's, you know, for some people, jogging even, you know, can bring that people back to the center. So definitely finding your form of meditation, and that may not be sitting there like a Zen monk for some people who are definitely first starting out. So meditation, journaling is a really good way of witnessing your own involvement, because the subconscious mind, we don't remember. It's why we don't remember our dreams. You know, we have a dream and we go, oh yeah, I'm going to remember that, and we go back and we don't remember it. And when I used to do readings, people used to say to me, oh, you remember when you said such and such? And I'm like, no, sorry. Because the subconscious is very hard to remember, because there's no memories there. It just comes in. So journaling, if you start to journal and you write down, your signs and your guidance and all of that, and then you keep a manifest of it via your journal, and then you go back 6 months later, you witness your own involvement. Yeah. So I feel that's a really good way to connect people to self, and to then also be able to see that, yeah, I am growing. So learning, like ascending that mind, which means that sometimes you may need to learn what it is that is your inner resistance and what is holding you back, which is, why I do spiritual profiling. Because if you can't find what that inner resistance within you to your own happiness is, you're going to continually sabotage yourself. Yeah. And then that brings you in that lower vibration, because you're always down on yourself because, you're not getting what you want. So healing the inner resistance, learning to be in the now, as you said, and you bringing some form of meditation that can keep that energy there, and really kind of connecting to that joy of life.
Yeah.
How many times do we just exist and go through life and just go through the motions of it? That's not actually creating or thriving. That's just existing. So really starting to put ourselves first, and it's not selfish. I call it centered in self. So starting to really put yourself in your own picture. And I feel for a lot of women, and I guess men too, find that very, very, very difficult to put, because they're mothers, and it's always helping someone else. And so really putting ourselves in our own picture is, I feel, very important, and really working on ourselves, and bringing that self-love in, that self-acceptance in, that getting rid of any resistance, and then keeping it in the now and connecting to that spirit side. I mean, I know that was a bit jumbled, but that's pretty well. Yeah.
I stayed with you the whole time.
Oh, good. Everyone else does. Yeah.
No, it's okay. What from what you were saying before, what's one of the most, this question just came to me as you were talking then. What's one of the most beautiful encounters or moments that you've had with somebody that you've sat with to do a mediumship work or psychic reading for?
I would say it would be a family, and I didn't normally do this, but it was a family. I was on a tour down in South Australia, and I got a call from one of my clients in South Australia that a family had lost a loved one in Victoria. Yeah. And it was quite tragic, and they weren't coping. And because I was heading back into Victoria to do some appointments, they asked if I would call in and see this family. And so I did. And 2 hours later, and I still, today, their loved one came in, gave me a few messages that showed that, he was definitely there. Wow. And the whole family weren't really believers, had never had anything like that before. But when I left, they were, and they've stayed in my life ever since. And, I know the mum has often said to me, you saved my life that day. You and my doctor saved my life that day, because she just didn't want to be here after
what happened.
After what happened, yeah.
Wow.
So that would probably be the one that has touched my heart. I mean, they all do though. Yeah. When someone is just so traumatized and feels that loss, to help them see that they're still there, and they want to help, they want to still be part of your life, and to just give them that hope, and heal them. Yeah. Help with their healing. It's not healing them, sorry. It's just, it helps them with their healing. It helps them with their grief.
I asked this. Yeah, sorry.
I said, that's a real blessing for me too, to be able to do that.
So yeah, to be able to heal that person and what they're going through, grieving so much after losing someone they love. So it's a beautiful gift that you have, and
Thank you.
it's amazing. What sort? I know I had another medium on the show, psychic medium on the show a couple of weeks ago, and I asked her this question: what sort of signs can people look out for when when a loved one dies and they feel like they're around? What sort of signs can they look for?
Okay. One of the most common signs spirit will use if they're around is an itchy top of your head.
Wow, okay.
Because they're trying to communicate. And when they try and communicate, the communication comes through the crown chakra, and it gives like a real tickly feeling on top of your head. So this is one of the easiest signs that people can pick up on, and it'll feel like you've got nits.
Okay.
Okay. Or, some people have described it like they've got psoriasis or something, and they thought their psoriasis was playing up or something like that.
Yep.
But it's such a common thing. And when you start talking to loved ones or people that have lost ones, the amount of time they go, oh my God, that's right, I have been itching my head. So it can happen anywhere around the head, but it's generally on top. But a lot of people do feel it sort of like all of a sudden they've got this itchy head, which they never had before.
Yeah.
So that's one of the signs. Like a spirit always, different people, they'll communicate in different ways, but I always like to try and give a couple of the easier ones for them to pick up.
Yeah.
That feeling like you see something flash out of the corner of your eye.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then you look and there's nothing there, or feeling like something's walked past.
I had that so many times throughout my life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. Well, that's if you've lost a loved one, it's generally your loved one. And and if you start what you're picking up is their energy movement and their orb. And that's why people see it often as a light, like a light out of the corner of their eye, because they're actually sort of picking up the orb. So that's another one that's very easy to pick up. And animals. Spirit use animals all the time to communicate with us. And one of the ones that they really love to use is a bird.
I knew you were going to say
that. Yep.
Yeah.
So, and because the birds, their pineal gland, which is what they call our psychic gland, is right at the front of their head. So they're like little puppets.
Right, okay.
They're like spirit's little puppets. Right. So I'm not talking about you just seeing a bird. I'm talking about these birds generally do weird things.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So, they're probably the three easiest for anyone that doesn't feel that they're intuitive, can see that their spirit family are around.
Thank you for that beautiful answer. And I understand you've come up with a beautiful way of uniting humanity during this time, during these divisions and social distancing measures that are in place. And you wrote to me in your email about it, and I thought it was just such a clever and beautiful way to touch people during this time and to uplift the energy as well. So please share it with us.
Yep, it's called Smile with Your Hands. And I came up with it. I was actually walking in nature, and one morning, and I was actually firstly thinking about how blessed I am, because we're not, where I am up here in the Whitsundays, we're not wearing masks at all. We don't have to. You wouldn't know COVID existed up here, touch wood. The worst we have to do is check in. So I was actually I've got a lot of clients down in Victoria, and I was thinking about them, and I'm thinking about everyone, and I'm thinking, oh my God, like how horrible is it that everyone's face is covered? And that's the way we communicate. Like we can, with a stranger, a perfect stranger, you can walk past them and through their facial expression know whether they're in pain or know whether they're happy. And we can sort of give a message to someone silently through our facial expression. And I mean, I'm sure we've all heard of times where someone's received a smile just when they've needed it, and you know, they've known that somebody's cared and it's really helped them.
Yep.
And now that everyone's wearing face masks, no one's connecting. You can't connect on that level. Yeah. And so I was walking along and I just went, oh my God, we've got an international already fully recognized symbol of not only connection, like peace, it's peace, but it makes a smile with your hands. You know, there's your smile.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
And, you know, it's about, hey, I care, peace, love, kindness. And so I thought, you know, wouldn't it be amazing if we could, you know, if we see someone, we can do this. If we're standing up for our rights, we can do this. You know, we can show people that, and we can connect through this. So we might not be able to connect now through our face, but we can certainly connect through our hands. So I was asking everyone to post a selfie of themselves with like this, with hashtag smile with your hands, but also to start to use this as a way of saying hello and a way of sort of recognizing each other in the, you know, even thank you to someone or hello to someone, like really getting into the habit of using this as a way of connecting. And, you know, you don't know who sees that just might uplift them and make them feel really good. Someone in the supermarket that you walk past, hi, how are you going? Yeah. You can't smile at them, but hi, how are you going? Yeah. Can really make someone's day.
Yeah, exactly.
So that was what I wanted to do. Yeah.
Yeah. And you can feel it, like you walk into a supermarket or a petrol station and the energy is just like, you see the person in front of you, they got the mask on and the energy is just so low. They don't even say, how's your day going anymore or anything like that, like we used to before COVID started. So yeah, that's a beautiful, beautiful way to get back to connecting with each other.
Yeah, so I hope that there is a Facebook group, Smile with Your Hands Facebook group, if people want to put their photo in there as well. Yep. But I really want to take this into, imagine this if this was all over the world. Yeah. And exactly. I need help getting that message out there. There's nothing in it for me. I'm not doing this because there's anything in this for me. And there's nothing in it for anyone else that does it. Yeah. It's just about giving back. It's about connecting people and showing them that we can still connect.
Well, look what happened with the when the whole Black Lives Matter took off. Everyone was posting, just black profile pictures, just a blank black picture on their profiles. So yeah, I think this is a great way to do it. And
I do too. And I really feel that I had that message. It was like a message that just came to me because everyone knows what this means. Yeah. This is the world we want to live in. Yeah, exactly. That's the world we want to live in. So let's put it out there. Let's get it on our hands. Yep. Let's put it on our profile pictures then. Yeah.
I'm going to do it straight away after this conversation. I'm going to put it up there.
Good.
And support the cause because I think it's a beautiful cause. What are some of the most important spiritual lessons that you've learned on your journey so far?
Like I said, definitely to always trust my spirit and to keep everything in balance. So, and this is something that I feel we all could really use at the moment. Like when people get in their minds, in their fear, in their trying to work out, oh my God, what's the future going to be? Where's the world going? They are out of balance. And when you go into that kind of thinking, you totally disconnect from your spirit side because you're actually even using the lower parts of when you're in fear and anxiety, you're using the lower parts of your brain. You're disconnecting from the part of your brain that you can connect to your intuition with. So like it, and that brings your energy down, that brings you down, and you can't find a direction. When someone's in that through their mind, because the mind can't see the future, you cannot get out of that. It's very hard to get out of that thinking, out of that anxiety, and out of that fear. So the very first thing that needs to happen is for people to surrender and bring themselves back to balance. So whatever it is that makes you feel balanced out of your mind. So in other words, you're not in that thinking mode. So for some people, it can be a walk in nature. For others, it can be meditation. It can be, like I said before, doing something creative, going for a run. But before you can ever move forward, you have to find your balance first, because it's in that balance that then your spirit can come online and give you the guidance that you need.
Yep.
And you have to be in balance for that to happen. So my advice to everyone is surrender to what is, get back to the now and find your balance, and give your spirit allow it a space to get a word in edgeways. And then, you'll feel inspired. Something will come in, it will give you some direction to be able to come in. And, I look at Victoria at the moment, and I'm really, really, this worries me. Victoria really worries me, because Victoria is in a really bad relationship at the moment with their government. Oh, and I mean, if we had a friend that's a husband or partner, or, wouldn't let them go out and see their family, okay, use shame and guilt to make them feel bad about themselves, basically didn't allow them to talk to anyone, because that's what those really abusive relationships do. They don't allow them to connect to their friends. They don't allow them, they monitor what they do, they monitor what they say. Is that a good relationship?
No.
What would we be advising those people to do?
Leave.
Get the hell out of there.
Yeah,
exactly. Yep. Or if you can't, stand up for yourselves.
Exactly.
And that's exactly what's happening with the government at the moment. No disconnection from family, not allowed to speak up or have a say, and their information's being monitored.
And we can't even question. That's the biggest thing. You can't even question it.
Yeah.
As soon as you question, they shut you down.
Yeah. And to me, it's about a bad relationship between the people and the government.
Yeah, that's right.
And if it was a real relationship, we'd be doing something
about it.
Yeah, or we'd be helping people do something about it. And there is that happening. But I just wanted to kind of like bring that a little analogy in, just for people to see that this, people feel that whenever there's fear, whenever there's shaming, whenever they're all ego energies.
Yeah.
They're all energies that are completely connecting people from their spirit. Now, I'm not an anti-vaxxer. I was vaccinated for my my grandbabies for whooping cough, so not that long ago. So I'm not an anti-vaxxer, but I trust my intuition and I trust my gut when it comes to making a decision about whether I'm going to do that or not. And my instinct says no, I'm not. And I've learnt through my life and do that now, that if my instinct says no, I'm not doing it. Now, somebody else's instinct may say yes, and that's okay. But I've learnt, as a lot of people have, you go against your instinct and you learn the hard way.
Well, I've said the whole journey of this whole thing, I've said it comes down to personal choice. If you want to go get it, you get it. If you don't want to go get it, that's fine. I'm not going to treat you any differently. And the government shouldn't be coming in here bullying businesses, telling them, no, if they're not getting the jab, they can't come into your store. It's an unhealthy relationship, as you said.
It is an unhealthy relationship, and there are other ways. And I put out a video. Oh, actually, I don't know if I have put it out yet. I've done the video about, we need unity. We need to come together. They need to start listening to the people, and if there's a solution that suits both sides, because that's what this world's all about. We've got duality here. If you take the freedom from one lot, and if you try and fit everyone in the same narrative, it means that someone's going to lose their freedoms and their rights.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter which way you look at it.
Yeah, exactly.
And that doesn't suit the whole. It's about, let's find the solution that suits the two sides, and there will be. If we haven't found it yet, we just haven't been creative enough, or they don't want to.
Yeah, and my conversation that I had with Malcolm Roberts, the only problem with all this is that I believe that we've been sold out as a country. I don't think we have our democracy anymore, and you can see that with what's happening in Victoria. So we need to come together. Right now we need to come together.
The people need to come together and support each other.
And that's what they don't want. They want to divide us with this whole anti-vax, vax, no vax, vaxxed, whatever. And I think we need to all come together and take back our freedom that we have naturally. No one can say when you're free or how to be free. We're free.
Well,
we're
our
free
God-given right. Our God-given right was free will.
Yeah.
We were given free will. That is part of the journey of being here. That's one of the natural laws of the universe.
Exactly.
And when you start breaking those laws, then humanity breaks down. So our freedom is something that is so important, and being able to choose whichever way is right for you is our God-given natural law right. And like I said, I'm not an anti-vaxxer. Like my kids are all vaccinated. I'm just someone who my gut instinct tells me this isn't right.
Yeah.
And it's not right for me.
No.
And what's happening in Victoria, my gut instinct, as in a lot of people, it's not right.
100%.
It's not right. And people should be standing up for those people.
Yeah.
We need to, as humans, as human beings, start to, it's okay if you're sitting at home and you've got a job and, you're getting food on your table. That's okay. It probably doesn't affect you, but there are people in Victoria that can't feed their families. The food bank had to close down because there was too many people, and it became a health risk. Yeah. On one day. I'm pretty sure it probably reopened, but it's like these people are suffering. It is like an abusive relationship. What happens when you put someone in? They lose their hope. And they become then, puppets for whatever. They lose their spirit. That's the word. Yeah. They lose their spirit. And that's what I feel is happening in Victoria.
And you can even see it. They're attacking, places of worship, saying, no, you can't go to church. You can't go to the mosque. It's a health risk. It's just ridiculous. Now, I don't want to end on this.
No, I don't want to end on a negative either.
So what messages of hope would you like to send people of Victoria, people of the world during these times?
Is to don't lose hope. Don't allow fear to stop you being who you are because you feel you have to. It's going to be hard, and a lot of people are going to be hurt by this. But if we do this right, we will come together and we will hold them up.
Yeah.
We will move them forward. Okay, yeah. Humanity will do that. We've seen it before. We've seen it with the bushfires. Yes. We've seen it with the natural disasters.
Yep.
that people are inherently good, and they are mostly want to help people. And we have to start to tap into that spirit side of self, that creative side of self, that finds the solutions. We already see it. We see these websites popping up of people who have lost their jobs where they can go to get work. So we see already there's ways of getting around things. It's going to be uncomfortable at first, but we can create a new world, and we need to have hope that this will happen. This shift had to happen. We know it's going to not be an easy one. It's not going to be nice. It's just not. And I'm not going to lie and say that it is. We felt it coming for years. I've written about it in previous yearly reports that I've done. Didn't put it in the name of COVID or anything like that, but we felt this energy has to shift. It's got to change. So I want people to remain connected. Don't hate on your family just because they have a different opinion. Love them anyway. That's their free will. That's their right to have a different opinion. And don't shame people, because that's just like telling them they're broken or there's something wrong with them just for having a different opinion. No, come on, that's not humanity. That's narcissistic. So if we want a new world of peace and love and kindness, then act from that. And support each other. Don't divide. No matter what someone's beliefs are, don't divide. This year is a 5. 2021 is a 5. And in spiritual profiling, the lessons of the 5 is all about control and freedom. It's the lesson of control and freedom. And that's exactly what we're doing this year. We're finding the balance between control and freedom. If we had all freedom with absolutely no boundaries, that's not going to be a good world either. You know, we have to have morals and boundaries and stuff. But if we have all control with no freedom, that's not good either. So we've got to find this balance. We've got to come, and to do that, we come together. The two sides come together. We unify. We don't divide. And I feel like, have hope. The timing, if timing starts to drag, we're in trouble.
Yeah, that's
okay?
right.
If our perception of time starts to go slower, we're in big trouble.
Yeah,
okay.
that's right.
But if it keeps going, our perception keeps going quicker, we're on the right path, even though it may not look like it at times.
Beautiful message. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. And
Right.
the world needs to hear this. And yeah, I think you're doing some very, very important work.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. And you for getting these messages out there as well.
Yeah. Well,
so thank you. Thank you for letting me have a talk.
My pleasure. Anytime. You want to come back anytime, it'll be an honor to have you back as well. But yeah, no, that's why I always end these discussion, because I'm a huge believer in hope. I've always been as a kid. And that's why I always like to end the questions with people's belief and messages of hope. So yeah, thank you for sharing that.
Thank you. And there's a saying that I often tell my clients as well is, feed your, what is it about hope? Turn your fears into faith with hope. Turn your fear into faith with hope. There you go.
Turn your fear into faith.
Into faith.
I love that.
With hope.
I love that. That's beautiful.
Yeah.
Is that an original?
Yep. It is. I actually had it and made into mugs at one stage, but I haven't. Yeah. So I've got a few in my cupboard, but I haven't got any more to sell. Yeah. So turn fear into faith.
Fear into faith with hope.
Yeah.
I'm going to use that. That's a good one.
Yeah, you can use it.
Beautiful. Yeah. Where can people go to find you, to support you, and if they want to learn from you as well and your teachings?
Yep. So I've got a Facebook group called Be Your Own Guru with Julie Kay, and I'm running a a challenge starting on Monday, actually, just for people to connect more to their positivity and stuff like that. Yep. So that's a really good place to find me. I put inspiration in there every day, like I post every day in that group. Just stuff to connect people to their spirit and to keep them more positively focused. Yep. So there's that group there, or my website, www.juliekinternational.com.
Perfect. I'll put all the links down the bottom for everyone to find. Yeah. Oh, Julie, thank you so much for sharing your wisdom and your messages of peace and hope for the world, especially during this time, and joining me today on the show around the campfire.
Yeah, thank you. And thank you so much for having me. So grateful.
Absolute pleasure. I can't wait to get you back, and we can go a bit deeper next time as well.
Love to come back.
Yeah, thank you. I'm Roberto Roya from The Mystic Drop. You've been listening to Julie K. Thank you so much, Julie.
Thank you. Yeah.
Salud.